Hello. Hi there. Thank you for coming back. I'll wait for a little bit more people. Sorry. Just because a lot of people asked me to save it, and I don't know why magically I can now save it on my IGTV. Apparently a lot of people only save it on the 24 hours thing. If you know the reason, please let me know. I think it's something happening to my Instagram. Strangely. Hi there. Welcome back. Okay, so we're talking about the terminal, so you can do like a ball shape. Think about how you can move the directions. Now if you are struggling to do the push stem going upwards as light as possible, now I think you can also do this exercise. So what you do is you want to train yourself to be light by thinking about a curve. Okay, get some ink. Up and out. Just practice this. Try out different curve. Now this one I make it more dramatic. You see, this is a bigger oval, implied oval here. Right, this is a smaller. Okay, so try out different curve. Find the one that you're comfortable with, and think about curve, up, and curve. Now make sure you know that when we do the push stamp, we call this the push because you're pushing it up, right? Well, with no pressure. This is on this slant. Now this is the main slant, the 55. This is different slant, so it's off slant. Okay, you don't have to push on the slant. Okay, and I don't mind. I don't think exactly what's the number, what's the degree. I just slightly make it off, and I make sure what is more important is if I dissect this point here, it looks like a mirror image. Okay, so you have a soft curve up, keep going up, and curve out. So that applies to alphabet A and alphabet M, as we were demonstrating earlier. Okay, just focus on as light as possible. What it means as light as possible. So there's a Chinese saying, Chinese people will say 蜻蜓點水. It's like a dragonfly touching the water. So you kind of think about your nib is the dragonfly. It is sliding on the paper and only ink is in between them. Okay, so you are not adding pressure as you're going upwards. And I would suggest that the breathing, it's very important. If you are holding on to your breathing, you may get more tense. You may have like this. Okay, you may experience something like that. Oops, let's dry up the ink. Okay, do you see what happened? I just add tiny bit of pressure. The ink, the nib step through the page and flick. That was just a tiny bit of pressure. So you want to be as light as possible. And this will require very slowly and very mindful practice. All right, now what else can I mention? I also taught when I was going through when I was thinking of how to share with this, the A also you have a very tricky kind of crossbar here, right? Ending one. Hi, Mary Ellen. Hi there. So nice you're here. Okay, so when you're doing this crossbar, I want you to think about the V shape we've been talking about. Now this is I said HG Healy. So what that is? It's from the Zenary menu. So I found the page, which let me show you. I found a page, because sometimes this is how I study, okay? Now, this is a printed version, not my eBay version. It's a printed version, so I can, when I study, I can do something like this. Okay, I put lines on it. So this is not the actual copy. This is just a printed copy that I did from the PDF, and it's for personal study. You can see what I did. Oh yes, this is the example. So I find out the A, I put the lines here. So the baseline, I also put the ascender to the top ascender, the waistline, ascender 1. Now I figure out that let me point this crossbar, because I struggle big time with it, really a big time, and I always don't know the angle. So what I learned is then I use a pencil, and I figure that the slant here and here, it create like a big V shape, isn't it? Okay, so when I draw this oval, my mind is I will aim for this direction, so my apex will hit here. Okay, my apex hit here and come out. And when I come out, I would think about a bigger oval, maybe like it can extend this size. Okay, yeah, this is a printed copy, so you can actually draw it and erase it with pencil, with eraser. This I go a little bit crazy using red lines, but it is very good to do more precise studying. Okay, so yeah, so what I did is this one I put this paper on top of that book. And sometimes if you're studying kind of more detail, you can get some tracing paper, find a page on a book that you want to copy, just use a pencil, trace it, and trace onto the tracing paper, and then you can use that and do all the lines drawing and figure out the details of angle or the diameters, etc., things like that. Now coming back to here, once we know this is the ideal shape of the oval, right? Now because it's such a difficult angle, because slightly off it can look really fat, right? So when you're practicing, you can practice this movement by using a nib or a pen. Okay, so you're just repeatedly doing this, getting your head, having a mindset. Sorry, I'm holding the camera with one hand, so it's a bit tricky, but this is how I would suggest you to kind of like take things out bit by bit and tackle it. Okay, now maybe a quick summary, because I talk a lot. It's only 3 alphabets, but there's so many details, right? Now so we look at the first alphabet here. Okay, I will talk you through. This is the letter A. This is when there's no ink, which is helpful because when there's no ink, you can see a lot better of your alphabet. So first of all, I would write without ink to show you. You would draw a ball terminal, outlining it, and you press so the ink will fill within this outline. It's like coloring. Have you done coloring pages as a kid or even not a kid? You want to draw the outline so that the color doesn't bleed through the line. So I think that's the concept. Then you pressed on it so that the ink will go into the ball terminal. Then you want to be as light as possible and do this push stamp from light curve, off slant, coming up off slant, and curve to your right, lift. Second stroke, you want to start with a thin hairline. Notice this is thin. You want to thin, slowly adding pressure. The tines will both open to create a shaded downstroke. Oops, sorry, off a little bit, come down. And now some teachers say you pick it up and it will snap. For beginner, it is a little bit tricky to do that nib manipulation, so I suggest you can hold on to it, and then you use your hand, move to your left like that. So I do it slower. Okay, let me see if this works. Sorry, it's just the camera. Sorry. I'm using a tripod. If anyone know any great tips about camera angle, please help me out. I am not very good at that. Bear with me. Okay, so you start from a thin line, coming down, adding pressure. You see the tines open up, and towards the end you want to pull to your left slightly, so your right tine will close to the left. Okay, and then you lift your pen and you start from a hairline, meaning there's no pressure. And you also want to make sure you're not touching too close to this area, because it's supposed to be a wet petal. Sorry, it's supposed to be very wet, a puddle of ink, right? So if you touch so close, it will pull the ink out. So start a little bit on your left, a little bit, move tiny bit of hairline space. You come up, thinking about this free shape that I talk about. You want to come up, add tiny bit of pressure, reduce the pressure out, skip through, and lift like that. So you jump through the puddle. However, your hand is still in the motion to bring the nib down on the point, so they looks like they are on the same line. Okay, and you want to bring it up. Now, if you touch the wet puddle, the chances is you may create a hot spot, which is like a puddle of ink, which you don't want. Okay, the line here, it's in red, because I want to show you this is a curve up, off slant, and curve out. Okay, now the M, letter M. I think Paul is here. I'm not sure. Hi there, if you are. Hello. We were talking about your books earlier. With letter M. So this is one letter M that I've seen quite often in the Zaneri menu. So I will show you. So this is very close to this one. Is the number one is by Hilly. Okay. So notice the shaded stroke, the second shaded, it's pretty much on slant, parallel to the next shaded stroke. Coming here, this is also by him, but I have a very different vibe. This is like the one who is a little bit more outgoing, a little bit more funky, more dancing. I like this more. It's also easier to do. Okay, where am I? Sorry, I was just enjoying my silly moments. That was a Zaneri menu. Oops, that was Zaneri menu. It's this one. Go to this website, Miss Grimes, davidgrimeswebsite.com. Zaneri menu. Maybe you can do a quick screenshot. Okay? That's such a great book. I love it so much. Coming back here, number one. So, ball shape terminal, same concept. Draw the ball shape and press in the ink. Lift. You want to continue curve and up, off slant, and curve to your right. Lift. Okay. Then you want to start with thin. Maybe at an angle is easier to see. Then you want to start with a thin hairline, slightly adding the shade. The tines open up. Don't overpress here. Coming down, the left tine will go back, touching to the right tine to create a sharp point right here. And you lift. Then you come up, curve, up along the slant, and curve to your right. Lift. Now this is the same concept but more subtle, because if you do a big one, the space is going to be really wide, which I kind of demonstrated earlier as I was talking. You see? Because I curve. Whoa. And the big gap. It doesn't look too pretty. It should be narrow like that. Alright? And you want to, where am I? You want to come up. Yep. And then curve to your right very subtly. Now the next is the same. This and this is the same. You're going to come down, nib open, like the lowercase L, back to a thin line, lift, and curve out. Do not rush when you're leaving, when you're doing the exit stroke, because when you're rushing, the problem is the line may go wonky, it may go that way, you know, like, because you want to fit within the oval. Your motion, you know, it will bring you to an oval. Okay, this can be an oval like that. It could be a smaller oval. It's an implied oval. Now, second one, you start with the ball shape and press the ink. From the hairline, thin, come up, curve, off slant. Sorry, the nib should be pointing this way. Up and curve to your right, lift. Start with a thin hairline, slowly adding pressure, and the center point right here should be the widest. It doesn't mean that you have to press the hardest, it just means this area is the widest, okay? Because if you're using a super flexible nib, otherwise it may, if you add your full pressure, it may look super thick. It doesn't look elegant. Then start again, thin, thicker, thickest, back to thin, and back to a hairline, and lift. Okay, and then you want to start with a thin line, and it's kind of the same curve, right? Without the ball shape terminal. Curve, come up, and curve, lift. Then this is the same here, and here is the same. You want to thin, thicker, and back to point, lift, curve out. Okay, now the last one. I say that you can practice both of them and see which one you like most. I don't think it's a problem if you want to just write one. I think it's more like for people who teach, it's better to know more than just one, but I don't think it's a problem if you only use one normally, because I do that a lot. I would say I write this style a lot more, especially with modern. Now the last thing, okay, is the end. So you do ball shape terminal, okay, press the ink in, thin hairline going up, curve and up, and don't curve to the right this time. You just keep going up, lift. You can either tilt your paper clockwise like that, and then thin, thicker, thickest, thinner to hairline, lift, rotate paper back to normal. Well, as in normal is like for right-handers like me, I'm still tilting it anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. You want to go up parallel to your 55-degree slant, curl to your right, and finish by drawing a terminal, lift, and add ink. Okay, second method, when you do this, you can, instead of turning the paper according to scenario menu, you shift your shoulder to the right. Let's shift our shoulder. Your nib may be more angled, I think, like that. It kind of worked. Lift, come up. You can end with a hairline too. Hi. Now, hopefully this really helps. I don't know, this is a little bit too nerdy. It is way more than just a beginner level. This is pretty much like a intermediate level of information. I hope that was really helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will try to prepare every time for all my demos. It is a great practice for me to study in this way as well. I would really be happy, because I know some of you already purchased it, but because of the demonstration, I actually made some extra bonus package, because I thought it makes more sense when I, if I share with people on online, it should be with more notes and information. So if you're getting the copies of my copy sheets, they will have the exemplar, which have all the alphabet divided into groups. You will also receive a normal A to Z. Also, you will get the practice paper, which I was using earlier, like that, okay, or in groups. And also you have different pages of AAA, just tons of information, okay. That's great. I'm glad it was helpful. I think before you go, one last thing that I want to talk about, but I don't have the example with me here, but I want to show you one thing. I don't know if you ever think about it, but when I was a beginner, I did not understand why A, M, and N has a push stem. Why can't they be like, letter B? Let's take out this, like B with a downstroke first, or H with a downstroke, or K. And, I was just curious. So then I found out AMN is because if you look at Roman capitals, and let's see if I have an example right here. So if I look at the scenario menu, I think there's a page. So you just have to bear with me. Okay, this is more than italics. So if you look at italics, or Roman capital. Just give me a moment. I'm trying to find the right page here. Where is it? Sorry for the wait. There will be one somewhere. Okay, just look at this italic, I guess. The modern version, that would do as well. But if you see the A, it starts from this, it's a thin line, okay? When you do the M, it's a thin line. N, this is a thin line. And it starts from the base. This is a modern version, but just Googled Roman capitals, and you will see exactly what I meant. I just don't have the example here with me, because I just suddenly thought of it. So that answered my question. I don't know if you thought of it, right? Because I would say the next step is definitely study Roman capital, even though we don't practice the brush Roman or using a broad nib or whatsoever. But I think if you just simply study it and having the concept, because a lot of the alphabets, not a lot, but basically all of them, will be based on the Roman capital, like proportion, which I'm going to talk to you more next time. A lot of details. Okay? Any questions? I'm quickly scrolling through all your... Thank you for joining again. For those who are demo every Wednesday, Hong Kong time, 8:30 p.m. for about, I think usually lasts for 2 hours or 1 hour and a half. And I'm going to go through all the alphabets with you in great details. And if you like to join my in-person workshop, it's going to start in June. I'm going to teach the same method, but with more information and definitely with more personal help in the class. Okay, so thank you again for joining. You can download or purchase the copy sheets on here. shop.kalomakeart.com. Any support will be grateful. And have a good evening. Bye guys. Thank you.